It's really amazing that you are willing to share what you have been going through with worry.
Absolutely.
And, feeling like it's always there, kind of pulling you down and giving you those doubts.
Yeah.
And we've looked over what you sent Texto Pagado.
Right.
And today we really want to do a deep dive into it.
Yes.
We're going to explore the ideas of Carl Jung.
Right.
And his psychology to see if we can find some practical ways to not just manage the worry, but really understand it.
I love that. Yeah.
At its core.
Absolutely.
So we want to address it.
For sure.
So there are 3 key Jungian ideas that we saw in what you sent over.
Yeah.
So first we're going to look at those internal conflicts that often feed worry.
Right.
And that's this concept of the shadow self.
Yes, exactly.
Then we're going to dig into why we're always trying to control everything.
Right.
And how that could actually be making our anxiety worse.
Yeah.
So the illusion of control.
It's a big one, yes.
And finally, we'll talk about synchronicity. Those meaningful coincidences that might be trying to tell us something.
Yes, giving us a little message.
Yeah.
I love that.
And all of this is connected to individuation.
Yes.
Becoming your most authentic self.
It's the big journey.
Right. So the possibility here is to really change how you see worry.
I love that.
Instead of looking at it as an enemy,
Yeah.
what if it's actually trying to guide you?
Right. What if it's a friend?
Right.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so the material that you sent over, it starts by pointing out that worry comes from some kind of inner conflict.
Yes.
So can you tell me a little bit about that from a Jungian point of view?
Well, what Jung saw is that, inside of us, it's not always perfectly unified.
Right.
There's that tension between our conscious mind, the part that's setting goals, following the to-do list, and then our unconscious mind.
Right.
And that holds all of our deeper emotions,
Right.
the longings,
Yeah.
even those parts of ourselves we might not want to admit to.
Right.
And when those two are not getting along,
Yeah.
when they're out of sync,
Yeah.
that causes that internal friction.
Yeah.
And that's what you talk about.
Right.
That so often becomes worry.
And that leads us to the shadow self.
Yes.
Which Jung called sombra.
Yes.
So that sounds kind of mysterious.
It does.
Yeah.
What is that exactly?
Yeah, so it's not like some, dark figure inside of us. It's more like it's all of the parts of ourselves
Right.
that we push aside or deny or hide.
Right.
Those emotions that we're not proud of.
Yeah.
Those desires that we think, oh, I shouldn't want that.
Yeah.
Or those unmet needs that we're just trying to ignore.
Right.
And it's those aspects of ourselves
Right.
that don't fit the picture we're trying to show the world.
Yeah.
Or even ourselves sometimes.
And the example that's given in the material that you sent
Yes.
is feeling anxious about work.
Right.
And maybe on the surface,
Yeah.
it seems like you're afraid of not doing well enough. Right.
But when you really think about it,
Yeah.
maybe it's a hidden desire for something else.
Totally.
Like more independence.
Yeah.
Or a whole new career.
Yeah.
Maybe you just need a break.
Right. Just need some space.
And so that clash between what we think we should be doing
Yeah.
and what we really want,
Yes.
that's a huge engine for worry.
It really is. Our conscious mind is saying you should go for that promotion.
Right.
You should meet these expectations. But then the unconscious mind is like, but is this really for you?
Yeah.
Is this really what you want to be doing?
Yeah.
And when we ignore that,
Yeah.
that just keeps the worry going.
Yeah. And so what do we do with this shadow?
Right.
The trabajo de sombra, the shadow work.
Yes.
What does that actually look like?
Well, it's the process of bringing those parts of ourselves
Right.
to the surface
Yeah.
so we can see them.
Yeah.
It's about acknowledging them.
Yeah.
Those parts that we've been hiding and just being able to acknowledge them. Right. That can really take the power out of the worry. Yeah. It's like, oh, I see you.
Right.
And when we do that,
Yeah.
when we start to understand them,
Right.
and let them have a voice,
Yeah.
then that tension starts to decrease.
Yeah.
And it's not about being perfect.
Right.
It's about becoming more whole
Yeah.
and including all the parts of ourselves,
Right.
even the ones that we're not crazy about.
Yeah. The messy parts.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So one of the big things that causes worry is this conflict inside of us.
Yes.
But another thing that Texto Picado talks about is this espejismo del control, this illusion of control.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about how that is connected to worry.
Okay, so this is so important. Worry is that energy that we spend
Right.
trying to hold on to things that we can't control
Right.
or that are just totally uncertain.
Right.
And what Jung noticed was that this need to have everything planned out,
Right.
to know every outcome.
Yeah.
It comes from the ego.
Uh-huh.
You know, that part of our mind that wants to keep us safe.
Yeah.
So when we feel vulnerable, the ego tries to create a feeling of safety,
Right.
like trying to control everything.
And you know the material that you sent over?
Yeah.
It points out how much time we waste
Right.
thinking of the worst case scenario.
Yeah, playing it over and over in our head.
Which almost never actually happens.
Right, exactly.
Like we're always waiting for something bad to happen.
Right, always bracing ourselves.
Even when there's no danger.
Yes, always on guard.
So what does Jung say about breaking free from this need to control?
Okay, well, he talks about rendirse fluir de la vida,
Right.
surrendering to the flow of life, which is a big step
It is.
for someone who is worried.
Right, when you're feeling overwhelmed.
Yes, exactly.
So how do we do that?
Well, it's about trust.
Okay.
Jung said that there's an order to life,
Right.
even when we can't see it, or we don't know why things are happening.
Uh-huh.
So instead of fighting uncertainty
Right.
and trying to control every little detail,
Yeah.
the invitation is to let go,
Right.
to stop holding on so tight,
Right.
to accept that we don't know everything.
Yeah.
And it's about finding peace
Right.
in the unknown
Yeah.
instead of always resisting it.
Right. I think that's really hard for a lot of people
It is. It's a practice.
because letting go can feel like you're giving up.
Right. Like you're failing.
Yeah, when you're feeling worried.
Yeah.
But I can see how that struggle to control everything,
Yeah.
it would be exhausting.
Yes. Completely draining.
Now, the next thing in what you sent over
Yeah.
is one of Jung's more interesting ideas.
Yes.
It's synchronicity,
Yes.
life speaking without words.
I love that.
This sounds really cool.
It is.
So tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah. So it's about those meaningful coincidences.
Right.
Where something happens outside of us.
Right.
But it reflects what's happening inside of us or a question we've been thinking about.
Yeah.
And it feels like more than just random chance.
Right.
It's like there's a connection,
Yeah.
a message just for you.
Like the universe is trying to tell you something.
Exactly.
And there's a really good example in Texto Pagado.
Yes.
It's about someone who's thinking about changing careers,
Right.
and then they overhear a conversation
Yeah.
in a coffee shop
Right.
about someone else who did the same thing.
Yes.
And now they're doing great. A
Exactly.
little nudge from the universe.
It is. Yeah.
And Jung didn't think these things were just random.
Mm-hmm.
He saw them as a sign that everything's connected.
Yes.
Like there's a deeper level of reality
Mm-hmm.
where our inner world and our outer world are more in sync than we usually realize.
Yes. I love that.
But like you said in your material,
Yeah.
when our minds are full of worry,
Right.
always thinking about bad things that might happen, we miss these little signs.
We do. We're not paying attention.
So how can we be more open to these winks from the universe?
Yeah. Well, it's about being present.
Okay. In our daily lives,
Yeah.
noticing the little things.
Yes.
You know, maybe a book falls open to just the right page,
Yeah.
or you meet someone who gives you the advice you needed,
Right.
or a song lyric really hits you.
Yes.
And instead of just ignoring those things,
Right.
we need to stop and think about what they might mean.
Yes. What are they trying to tell us?
Yeah.
You know, because it reminds us that we're not alone.
Right.
And that there might be something guiding us.
Right.
Even if we don't understand it completely.
I think that's really comforting.
It is.
Like you're not alone with your worries.
Right.
You're part of something bigger.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, the last big Jungian idea that Texto Pagado talks about is individuation,
Yes.
the path back to yourself.
I love that.
This sounds like it ties everything together.
It does.
So what is individuation in simple terms?
So individuation is that journey of becoming who you really are.
Right.
Not who other people want you to be
Right.
or what society tells you to be.
Right.
And it's not about being perfect,
Right.
like you said.
Yeah.
It's about bringing all the parts of ourselves together,
Yeah.
the good and the bad, the light and the shadow,
Yeah.
to be whole, to feel complete.
So how does worry fit into this journey of becoming ourselves?
Well, worry can be a sign that we're not being true to ourselves.
Okay.
So when we're always thinking about what other people think,
Yeah.
or if we're good enough,
Right.
it means we've lost touch with what's really important to us.
Right.
Our own values and desires.
Yeah. And there's an example in the material that you sent
Yes.
about someone who's worried about being judged for their choices,
Right.
but inside they feel peaceful,
Yes.
like they're doing what's right for them.
Exactly.
And that really resonates with me.
I think it does for a lot of people.
It's like we get so caught up in what we should be doing
Yeah.
that we forget what feels true for us.
Yeah, we lose our way.
Yeah, and so individuation is about trusting that inner voice.
Yes.
And what feels right to us.
Exactly.
Not what other people think.
Right.
And as we go on this journey, that anxiety about what other people think, it turns into a feeling of knowing.
Yeah.
And being clear about our choices.
So when we're living in alignment with ourselves, there's less room for worry.
Exactly.
Because we're not trying to fit into someone else's mold.
We're being ourselves.
And you also talk about the connection between individuation and synchronicity.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So as we become more connected to ourselves through this process of individuation, we also become more open to these synchronous moments.
Okay.
It's like being in harmony with ourselves makes more in tune with the world around us. Like we're on the same wavelength.
Exactly.
This has been so helpful.
Oh, good.
So Texto Pagado offers some practical tools.
Yes.
Based on these Jungian principles.
Right.
That we can use to deal with worry.
Yes.
So let's talk about those.
Okay.
The first one is illuminating your shadow.
Yes.
What are some ways we can actually do that?
So a really good starting point is journaling.
Okay.
When you feel worry coming up, write it down.
Okay.
And then ask yourself, what need or desire is behind this worry?
Okay.
Is it a need to belong?
Yeah.
A desire for recognition?
Right.
A fear of being vulnerable?
Yeah.
And the important thing is to be curious about these parts of yourself.
Yeah.
To be kind.
Right.
Not to judge them.
Right.
The shadow isn't something to get rid of.
Right.
It's a part of you that wants to be seen.
And understood.
Yes.
So we should treat these hidden parts of ourselves with kindness.
Yes.
Like we would treat a friend who's going through a tough time.
Right.
Okay. The next tool is conscious silence.
Yes.
Which is all about meditation and mindfulness.
Right.
And I know these can seem scary to some people.
Yeah.
So what's the main idea here?
So Jung himself believed in looking inward.
Right.
And meditation and mindfulness aren't about stopping thinking completely.
Yeah.
It's about creating a space where you can watch your thoughts and feelings without getting swept away by them. It's like in your material.
Right.
You talk about thoughts being like clouds.
Yeah.
They just drift by.
Right.
You don't have to grab onto them.
Yeah.
You don't have to overthink them.
So when a worry comes up, you see it.
Right.
But you don't let it take over.
You don't spiral.
Right.
And this can be so helpful
Yeah.
for stopping that cycle of anxious thoughts
Right.
and bringing you back to the present moment.
I love that image of the clouds.
It's a good one.
It takes the pressure off
It does.
of having to stop thinking.
Exactly.
Okay, so the third tool is attending to the signals.
Yes.
And this goes back to synchronicity.
Right.
So how can we get better at noticing these coincidences?
Yeah, well, it's about being aware.
Okay.
In your everyday life.
Right.
So pay attention to those little things.
Go ahead.
A book you pick up.
Yeah.
A conversation you overhear.
Right.
An email you get.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just thinking it's random chance.
Right.
Stop and think.
Yeah.
Does this connect to what's going on inside of me?
Yeah.
Because these moments might be meaningful.
Right.
They might give you insights.
Right. Give you some direction.
Yeah.
Okay. The fourth tool is living authentically.
Yes.
And that's all about individuation.
Right.
So what are some first steps?
Ask yourself this question.
Okay.
Are the big decisions I'm making based on what I really want or what I think others expect of me?
Right.
Living authentically means making choices that match your values, your true desires,
Right.
even if those choices are different
Right.
from what other people think you should do.
Yeah.
And the more you do that,
Yeah.
the less you'll worry
Right.
about what other people think.
Yeah, because you're being yourself.
You are.
And the last thing is a really big shift in how we think about things.
Yes.
So Texto Pagado says that we should see worry not as an enemy
Right.
or a sign that we're doing something wrong,
Yeah.
but as a guide,
Yes.
like a signal from inside of us.
Yeah.
That's trying to tell us something important.
Right.
That's a really different way of looking at it.
It is. Yeah.
So instead of thinking that worry is bad
Right.
or that we need to get rid of it,
Yeah.
we should see it as information,
Yes.
a message from our inner world
Yeah.
that something needs our attention.
Right.
Maybe we need to make a change.
And when we listen to that message,
Yeah.
instead of just trying to silence it, right.
It can help us understand ourselves better
Exactly.
and make positive changes in our lives.
And that's the key.
So the takeaway here is that if we understand these Jungian ideas
Yeah.
and we use these tools, we can loosen worry's hold on us.
Absolutely.
It's not about never worrying.
No.
It's about understanding where it comes from.
Yeah.
And having a better relationship with it.
And being kinder to ourselves in the process.
So we've done a really deep dive.
We have.
Into this complicated thing that is worry.
Yes.
And we've looked at it through the lens of Jungian psychology.
Yeah, exactly.
Using the material that you were thoughtful enough to send to us.
Right.
And it gives us a new way to think about things.
It does.
So as we wrap up.
Yeah.
Your source ends with this really powerful idea.
Yes.
That if we listen to our worry, instead of pushing it away, we can be more present, more clear, and stronger. And when we let go of worry, it opens up space for creativity, joy, and real growth. So our lives feel lighter. And more true to who we are.
It's about coming home to ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what's really cool about this is that it's not about finding some answer outside of ourselves.
No.
Or a quick fix.
Right.
It's about changing how we see ourselves.
Yeah.
And the world.
Exactly.
And it makes you think, doesn't it?
It does.
Like imagine your life right now.
Yeah.
If you had never let worry control you.
Right.
What would you have done differently?
Yeah.
What would you have said? What would you have felt?
Right.
If you had just trusted yourself.
Yeah.
And trusted the process of life.
Yeah.
That version of you isn't gone.
Right.
It's still there.
Yes.
Waiting for you. So take a deep breath.
Yes.
Let go of that need to control everything.
Yeah.
And come back to yourself.
Yes.
Because Jung taught us.
Yeah.
The answers we're looking for.
Yeah.
They're not out there somewhere.
No.
They're already inside of us.
They are.
Waiting to be discovered.